So, do you feel confident about your knowledge of custom motorcycles? I bet you do. How many cafe racers do you see on this screen? And the most popular and obvious answer is, there are two. The problem is, from a certain perspective, this one could also be considered a cafe racer. Yes, it doesn't have the rear cowl. And if we ask a genuine rocker from the 60s, he will probably say that only this one is a true cafe racer. This means, there will never be a single correct answer. Or is it? And that's what we're going to talk about over the next few minutes. Welcome to Racer TV. What is a cafe racer? I know this sounds like a silly question, but things are far more complex than you might think. No wonder there are so many different interpretations. So, let's start from the beginning. Here is an original racing bike from the 50s. And this is an original factory version. Which one looks cooler? Obviously this one. That is precisely what the British youngsters from the 50s and 60s thought. And so racing bikes became their main inspiration to start modifying their own motorcycles. The essential modifications were tuning the engine to gain some extra power, removing all the unnecessary parts to make the bike lighter, installing lower handlebars, and a monoseat with a rear cowl. The purpose of these changes was to gain some competitive advantage in some races between cafes. And so the first cafe racers were born, including rockers and ton-up boys. Everything I said sounds like the essential and most well-accepted version of this matter, right? The main problem is that today, some of the genuine cafe racers who lived in those days disagree. And they are right about it. If you search the internet, you will find many photos and videos about the era. And paying attention to the bikes, here is what we see. The most common modification: clip-on bars. Some carburetors had velocity stacks to improve air-fuel mixture. But what about monoseats? Very rare for sure. Only the most modified bikes would have it. The big majority maintain the dual seat. And what about removing fenders to save some weight? All of them had fenders, although some were slightly cut. This means most interpretations about genuine and popular cafe racers are not entirely right. Because this is what most people think they were. This is what only very few could afford. And this is what most of them really looked like. Obviously not as clean and polished. All of this leads us to a shocking conclusion. Our perspective about the popular and traditional cafe racer of the 50s and 60s is completely distorted. The cafe racers most people imagined existed on those days were extremely uncommon. And why? Because building a Triton like this was too expensive for most youngsters. No wonder the vast majority of bikes only had a few simple changes. But even the existence of these low-cost modifications is a bit questionable. And here is the problem. As I said a moment ago, this is what most modified bikes really looked like in the 60s. And this is exactly how some of them came from the factory. Yes, some models were basically factory cafe racers, with low bars, loud exhausts, velocity stacks, bigger carburetors, and so on. Others even had a small rear cowl, fiberglass fuel tank to save weight, and only a few and rare ones, a full fairing as an extra option. And now you know why I said that from a certain perspective, this bike could also be considered a cafe racer. But over the years, this became the most consensual approach of what a pure cafe racer should be. This means the main cafe racer principles are still the same, but taken to a next level. I know many of the ex-rockers and ex-ton-up boys will say that this is the only and true cafe racer motorcycle, and period. But that's like saying that only the first and oldest supercar is the unique and genuine supercar there is. Joining a Triumph Bonneville engine with a featherbed frame was expensive in the 60s. And nowadays, getting these parts is almost like searching for plutonium. That's why most of today's cafe racers are based on Japanese motorcycles. It is not a question of being right or wrong. It is simply what most can afford, just like 70 years ago. And now, I'm going to talk about a very controversial subject. Should we call them cafe racers? Or CAF racers? I've talked about this in the past. And I never imagined this question could piss so many people off. Over the years, I received a lot of comments about it. Some of them very rude, saying that CafeRacer was the true and genuine name. And so back then, I made a video about this issue. The problem is that in that particular video, I also received tons of comments saying precisely the opposite. Some said that CAF is like a derogatory term for cafe. Others said that CAF is an accent thing, and not actually how you spell it. Fortunately, some of them explained this confusion. It seems that only the ones from the south of London call them CAF racers. But other than that, cafe racer is the correct and universal name. And so I hope you are now more enlightened on the subject. I'm sure I'm still going to get loads of criticism on this video. But if anyone asks me what a cafe racer should be like, I'll just say, as long as it has a low handlebar and a rear cowl, all the rest is simply a personal choice. And if it wasn't this way, this old and iconic style of motorcycles would never evolve. Thank you for watching racertv. And as always, I hope to see you on the next video.